my crafty people out there. We are working on an unusual project in the sense that this time nothing was thrifted. I purchased all of these materials actually quite a while ago. I used to make these on a regular basis for Halloween. We're going to make Halloween treat bags. And it's a pretty simple process. I'm sure y'all recognize the basic tote shape. And totes are not that difficult, but what we're making this tote out of is pet screening. It's that screen stuff that you can buy at the local hardware store to replace the screening in your doors, your window screens, anything like that. This is pet screening, so it's extra thick and heavy, and it's great for a couple of reasons. One, it's easy to see through, so you kind of have an idea of what's going in your kid's trick-or-treat bag as you go. And it's really good for things like beach bags because sand just filters right through them. Now, this is one of my granddaughters, and so it's got some Halloween fabric at the top, just some nylon webbing for straps, and I had monogrammed her initials on this as well. And this is actually a reflective tape stripe. This is the stuff that we'll be using for that. I don't know if you can get a good view of that. But it's reflective tape, and I've got some yellow left, and we're going to use that on a little boy my daughter knows, and he is about the same age as my youngest granddaughter, so they're all going to be trick-or-treating together. So his is going to be orange spiders, and I've already put his B on here. It's not my best monogram, but I'm going to show y'all a short video, probably somewhere tacked in the video, where I'm just monogramming this on my machine. And I have enough fabric to do the front and the back of the bag. And then I have my good, big, heavy roll of pet screening. Whoop, there goes my reflective tape. So pet screening, some fabric, and my webbing is around here somewhere. So that's what we're going to use. I went back and took this one to get the measurements off of it. And we're looking at approximately, I think the bottom, or the top and the bottom, are about 13 inches wide. And, oh, I'm sorry, 14.5 inches. They're longer than the sides. 14.5 inches. And the side seam is actually 13 inches. And the cut in, we're going to cut the square out of the corner. That's the way I'm going to do these. Is, I believe it's an inch on each cut. Anyway, it ends up being like a 3-inch pleat down here, or bottom. So this one should be a lot of fun, and I figured it was pretty seasonal, even though I didn't thrift anything for it. Now, of course, if you thrift some really cute Halloween fabric, hey, there you go. Bob's your uncle. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this monogram piece, and I know that I need 10.5 inches. 10.5 is going to be for that small seam allowance I'm going to use, where I'm going to sew it to the bag. So I am measuring this. I'm going to put it on my grid right there on the 20 line. This is not rocket science or perfection by any means, but I am going to try to get it right. So I've got it on the 20. There. And I'm going to measure, this ruler is 5 inches. So I'm going to measure to the 5 mark, which is 15. And we can see it's a little, no, it's good. think I've got it good. That's all lined up here. This is all lined up here. So I'm going to cut it at 5.5. Well, yeah, 5.5. If I need less, I can cut less. All right. There's 5.5, which actually I guess that means this is 11 inches long because it's 5.5 on each side. So it's 11 inches wide. I'm going to cut the other one, and I'm just going to lay it together. And there's more than enough length, so don't worry about this salvage on the end. It's not going to be a problem. I did iron this fabric, but it's got a mind of its own. Tends to be a little weird, a little stiff. I think it's because the spiders have glittery eyes. So 18 plus 5 or minus 5 is 13. So we're going to go to the 13 mark, 13 and a half. I think we're good there. We got too much over here. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, this just happens to be a not so straight piece of fabric. These are some scraps I had. Oh, and by the way, I know that y'all been having trouble hearing me, and I think I figured out the problem. I have been using a mic on a boom, and when I first started researching doing videos, that was recommended. But I think the recommendation was more for people that are going to be sitting stationary in front of that mic, and that's not me. I'm moving around, and the mic just was not picking up enough volume. So this particular video, I'm actually just using my phone. However, I have in my cart, and we all know what cart that is, my good old Amazon cart, I have a lapel microphone, and I think I'm going to give that a try if we just can't make it work with the phone. I tested it today, and the phone was giving me a much better volume than the microphone was. So I'm still going to amp up the volume probably on my editing software, but I will hopefully be able to be heard a little better with the phone. The only thing is it gives me a little bit of feedback, so I hear myself over there on my laptop, and that's a little weird, but you know. Oh, okay. All right, so this is, I need, what do we say, 14.5 inches for the width, and see the center of 14.5. Let's see. 7 3/4. Y'all don't make me do math. Anyway, we've got plenty here. So let's see. 14.5 2 is 7. 7 1/4. 7 1/4. Sorry. I'm having some kind of senior moment with my math skills. So, gonna try and make this easy. Gonna get the old chalk out. And just mark where I need to cut this. And what I'm doing is I'm centering that 7 1/4 mark right on the tip of this monogram, so I get a good feed on where it needs to be. And then I want to check and make sure that I've got that marked following properly on the other side. So I think we're good. This is not a very conventional way of cutting this. I'm just kind of makeshifting it with the fabric and the size I have. So we're gonna have some panels of fabric that are going to go on the top of our bag that are 14.5 by 11, because this is 5.5 folded, and that's our tops. Okay, now we're going to go cut our screening. Now that can be actually pretty easy, fortunately, because you're following the screen pattern, but I'm not sure if you're going to want to watch me do that. So let's measure it up first, and then I'll start back when I've got it ready to cut and measured up, so we can do it right the first time. Okay, everybody, I have measured the screening. It is 36 inches from end to end. I have tons of it. I think this is a whole new roll. What we're going to do is we're going to carefully cut 13 inches down, which I believe is my measurement. Yeah, 13 inches down. And then that will allow us to do 14.5 inches this way. So we're minimizing what we're wasting. And I'm just marking it right here at the 13 mark. The good thing about this screening, like I was saying earlier, it's just, it's even. So when you're cutting across it, you're cutting the same line all the way across through the little screen parts, because they're even. The trickiest part is not going cross-eyed while you're trying to follow that line. It helps if you do it over something light, so you can see through the screening. And I highly recommend using an old pair of scissors, or maybe a pair of scissors you have plans to sharpen soon, because this stuff is going to eat them up. You think cutting paper is bad? Wait till you cut this too many times. So let's just check. We've got 13 inches from one side to the other. So now we need 14 inches this way to get the, or 14.5, excuse me, to get the length of the bag. So, whoops, I'm stuck on my hand. All right, so 14.5 is right here. So again, I'm just going to position this over the white part of my board. Alright, so we've got 14.5 by 13 for one side. And now we're going to cut the other side. Again, 14.5 right here. Put it over this white part so I can see what I'm cutting. All right, now 14.5 by 13. Excellent. So now we have the two panels. This is the front and back of our bag. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to go ahead and cut those notches out. So, and I said that they were, I think, there might be 2 inches. Let me measure this real quick. Take our good old hemming ruler and measure. It's 2 inches. My apologies. So it's 2 inches. We're making the cut in 2 inches. So 2 by 2 essentially. So we will do, here's my chalk. We will do, put it up here so y'all can see. We'll do a 2 by 2 cut. Ooh, gotta put the chalk out the right way. And 2 by 2 here. I'm just using my good old handy dandy ruler to give me those 2 inches. Alright, so make sure you're screening, not fabric, but we're using it as fabric, is set up the same on both sides. Again, tough on the skizzers for sure. All right, there's our typical tote looking pieces. They are, again, 14.5 down, 13 across. We're cutting in 2 inches by 2 inches to make our square bottom. Now we're going to have to attach our fabric. And a lot of times I like to iron on the little crazy reflector strip before I add it on to the fabric, because I mean to the screening, because I don't want to melt the screening. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get my iron ready. I'll come back with you when I'm going to iron this strip on. I don't know if I'm going to put it on the bottom or the top. I usually put them on the bottom, but we'll see. And like I said, we'll be back when I get the iron set up. Okay, people. Little hiccup here. I went to iron on my reflective strip onto the monogram piece and found that it was no longer any good. So this happened. And you can see I tried to do some corrective measures and go over it with a different color, and all I got was a nasty mess. So I redid the B and created a new piece. Here we are. Again, there's still 11 inches this way and 14.5 inches this way. And what I'm going to do, and there's 2 pieces, there's still 2 pieces, because this is going to be the tops of our bag. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to spread this out. I've got my iron heating up over here. Oh, and I changed it from orange around the edge to black. I just liked it better. And I went out, there's not any of that other tape that I used to use, but I did find, this. Let's see if I can get it to focus for you. I'll put it in the description. It's a Dritz product. It's an iron-on reflective ribbon. So we're going to use this. I always like to put a reflective ribbon on the trick-or-treat bags, because a lot of times they are going, you know, later, or even if they go early, it's dark by the time they get back. So I think I'm going to go with this, the thicker one or the thinner one. I think I might go with the thinner one, which is a good option that I didn't have with the others unless I cut it in half. So let me work my magic here and get this off of the reel. Apparently you do have to be magic to get this off the reel. So, come on. There we go. So I'm just going to take it all off the reel. And I'll wind it back up, because it's not a lot. Now I'm going to take my piece of tape down here off of it. So there's no need to have that on there, because that'll just stick to my iron. Another thing I had to clean yesterday because I was trying to get this done. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to put this little reflective strip right here. And this will give this little kid or this little boy that I'm doing this for some extra protection. I'll move my iron real quick and make sure I've got it long enough. I'm going to cut it right at the edge. It won't hang off the edge because this back is sticky, and I don't want to iron it to my already poor dilapidated little quilting ironing board. My husband made this for me for quilting, and it's great to just pop up on the table and press seams, but it also works really great for these little crafting projects. So I need a towel. So let me see if I got a towel. Hold on a minute and I'll be right back. I'm going to get me a towel to press over it, because if I don't, the iron will just stick to that reflective stuff. Okay, before I iron it, or iron the stuff on, I went ahead and put a couple of glass head pins in the end down here and stuck them directly into my board just to hold this in place, because it was, you know, bubbly from being folded. This is a very thin, I believe it was considered just a tea towel or something at Walmart, or I'm not sure. I've had it for a while. I use it occasionally for a pressing rag. You can use anything thin like this. I'm just making sure that my iron doesn't stick to that reflective strip. It's set on the highest temp that I can set it on, and I've turned off my steam. And it's supposed to be held for 45 to 60 seconds, which is a long time considering my iron has an auto shut off. But we'll see when this starts blinking, when my light starts blinking, it usually means it's been on for 30 seconds and laying down for 30 seconds, so it starts to shut off, which is a great safety feature. I'm keen. But what I'll do is I'll just pick it up and I'll put it down for another until it blinks again, and then we'll put it on the other side. And hopefully we'll have better luck with this particular reflective tape than I did with the last one. Needless to say, I had to cut that footage out. That was just nasty. It made me so mad. But not all projects are perfect, and that's part of doing these. All right, it's blinking again. So now I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to let it sit until it starts blinking again. And that'll be at about 30 seconds. And then I will put it down again. This is kind of boring, but you know, I think the reflective strip is helpful. There we go. That's about 30 seconds. Let's put it back down. Just picking it up resets this iron I guess I could put a link to this iron too. It's not real fancy. It's just a Black & Decker, but it's heavy. It's heavier than my last one, which is not the greatest, but it does the job. So let's see if we can get this to blink. There we go. Pick it up. I'm going to put it in the middle here where I'm not sure if it was really sealing it down. I hope this does the job. We will know soon. We'll test it once we're through to see if it stuck. The good thing about this tape is it doesn't have a second side that I have to remove separately and all that wonderful stuff. Ooh. Looks like we've got good adherence. I'm going to give it one more little run over and I think we are good. So his will have a nice reflective. Oh, and I did just the letter B because this child has 4 names. And monograms just, I don't know, they don't work with 4 names. So, he just gets a big B. I never, ever put a child's name on anything that they're going to wear that's going to be seen exterior-wise. Heck, even when I did my son's clothes for his Boy Scout camp, I did not put anything but his initials on it. All right, excellent. Now, reflective strip, monogrammed. That's the front. This is the back piece. And we already have our 2 pieces cut for our screen. Now, I noticed when I was looking at my original piece that I actually did not put a seam on the bottom. In other words, there's not a seam here. It's just one long piece that I cut these notches out of. You could do it either way. It depends on whether or not you think that there's going to be more strength in a single piece. Obviously there would be, but if they're carrying something that heavy trick-or-treating, something's wrong. So I think candy shouldn't be that heavy. I wanted to show y'all how I was pinning this. I thought that I might have left it kind of in the dark there. What I'm doing is I'm taking this is already folded in half. As I've already got a crease in the half, in the fold. So I'm opening it up, and I'm placing my screen, the top of my screen, top of the bag, right on that fold. Okay? Kind of hard to see, but there's my fold. All right? And I'm going to fold it over. You can tell pretty spot on because they're meeting on each side. Okay? Or I can see through the screen that they would meet. So then I'm just going to tuck under that serge line, and we're going to do this in one swoop. Thought that might be faster. I have made these all kinds of ways, but if I just tuck under this little serge piece and make sure that my bottom isn't moving, tuck that under, essentially making a hem in the bottom of this piece. I'm just sending a pin through there, kind of make sure I'm catching it. And what that's going to do, that's going to allow me to make one seam across the entire top, and I will catch the top and the bottom together. And that'll be a one and done stitch across both tops, or both tops of the bag, front and back. And then we won't have to do a stitch where we put the top down and we add the back. So that's what it'll end up looking like. And again, all I did was I just turned my serged edge under, and when I pinned it, I can make sure you can see right there, there's the back of the other side. this serge piece. And it is just, and I'm going to do a top stitch right across this, and it's going to catch the front and the back all at once. You know me. I'll take a shortcut if I can get it. Same with this one. This one's already folded in half. There's my fold line right down the middle. Now, if you had trouble seeing your fold line or your crease, you could, obviously you could run a chalk line down it, or some kind of marker, whatever you like to use. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to turn it around like this. I can see that the edges are meeting. And I'm going to turn this under and just pin it. I don't need a lot of pins. The stuff's really stiff. But we're just turning it and making sure that we're meeting, that we're still able to see that back edge. That way we know we'll catch it when we run this over. It's kind of, no, it's not really like binding. But you are catching two pieces at once. So it's a shortcut, sort of. And then one more. And again, this just makes sure we catch everything front and back. All right, cool. All right, sorry about that. I had to go find my webbing. It was in a bag. I knew it was in a bag. I just bought it yesterday. All right, this is good old nylon webbing. And I have measured my previous handles, and they're 20 inches each. That's kind of a standard for me. It's usually where I roll with a handle. So I'm going to cut one, and then I'll use that one to measure my second one. I always do it that way. I don't know why. I think it was something I was taught, but I'm not sure. And if I'm cutting multiple pieces, I always use the first one I cut. I don't recycle or not recycle, use the second one or third one, because then you end up with uneven lengths somehow. It's kind of like the secret game, you know, where you tell a secret in one person's ear, and by the time it gets to the end of the room, it's a completely different story. Same thing with that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and decide. Let me see, make sure this is sitting right. I don't want it to be too off kilter. I want it to be buckled. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and pin my straps where I want them. It's a pretty deep bag as far as the sides go, so I generally come in 4 inches. And that gives me, let's see. So, because these are little kids. So if I come in 4 inches approximately, there we go. There we go. I'm just going to pin those as well. That way when I'm over there sewing on the sewing machine, I can get it all done at once for the sewing. Let me turn this over. I'll show y'all how much I'm putting on. So it's a 4. If I put this directly centered and I come up 4 here, I'm doing about 1 inch on the actual strap. That gives me plenty of room to do that. I like to put a kind of a cross on mine, you know, X, I should say. That way I know they're really secure. All right. And make sure that it's, when you turn it, make sure it's turned all, and this one is not. There we go. Let me center that again. Yeah, this one was not. You want to make sure that it's attached by the same side on each side. That way you don't have a twist in your handle. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This is the back. I know it's the back because this is the serged piece. So I'm going to center it on my board between the 1/4 inch marks there. And I'm going to come in 4. And I'm only doing, like I said, about 1 inch on here. And this stuff does ravel. You can burn it if you want to secure the end. Generally, I just wait until I've secured it, and usually by the time I've sewn the X on it and everything, it doesn't ravel anymore because I've secured it a lot by then. All right. And then we're just going to check and make sure that our handles, they meet. So I know that they're the same length. All right, now let's go to the sewing machine. We're going to sew this seam here, and we're going to sew on our handles, and then we'll go to the serger and box it up. All right, I've got my good old denim needle on, and I've got my 2 bag pieces here, and I'm going to run the stitch across the fabric, the decorative fabric first. I am doing a top, well, it's not a, well, it's a top stitch. I'm doing it probably 1/8 of an inch away from the absolute edge of the fold that I put in the serge side here on the front. That way I'll capture the front and the back. Let's see. All right. Just run this one with it. Oops. There we go. So we're just going to clip these apart using our cutter on the side. So now we've got these completely secured from both sides with 1 stitch. Now all we got to do is stitch on our handles, and what I'm going to do is a basic crisscross kind of thing where I put the foot on the edge here, and I'm going to go across it, go down. I'm just making a box. And following the edge of the webbing, this is the best way to secure it, and it will make it just about kid-proof, which is what we're going for here. And then I'm going to cross over diagonally. Go up 1 more to get to the other side of the cross. And cross over again. And we're done with that one. Now I'm not going to obviously put y'all through the torture of all of those, but you can see I just Did a little crisscross, my little threads there. You could do it in a coordinating color if you were worried about it showing. I'm not worried about it showing in this spider fabric, but you could use, you know, like I said, a color that matched. So I'm going to do the rest of those, and we'll get back when I'm at the serger putting the bag together. Okay, I'm over here on the serger, and I have serged all 3 of the sides and the bottom. Okay, the only thing I really thought you might want to see is me punching out the corners. So I'm going to push them together. That's what that little square notch allows us. And I'm going to push one seam one way and the other seam the other way, just to keep the bulk down, because this is pretty heavy duty going through the serger. So there we go. And again, I'm just pushing the seams alternate of each other, just like you would if you were quilting or any other thing, to reduce your bulk. Alright. Now this serger does take this like a champ, but I wouldn't recommend doing it to it on a regular basis. Just moving nice and slow, giving it a chance to take its time going through that seam, even though I alternated it. Alright, so that's our seam. Very secure. We'll do the other one. Again, now I pushed this bottom seam that way, so we're going to push it that way again, like that. That way they're consistent. It's not a big deal if you don't have them going the same, but it just makes for a neater bag. And it's best practice, see? It's always good to have best practice. And take your time through that seam. I'm always amazed at what a serger can do. Now, if I was making these on any kind of regular basis, I'd want an industrial machine, obviously. So, now, I'm going to turn it inside out. We'll cut all the little ravels off at the end, or I will. You won't. You don't have to clean up. Isn't that a nice thing about watching things on YouTube? You just get to participate without all the cleanup. And we push it through like that. Push our corners out. And we push our corners out here. Come on. It's stiff. The stuff is stiff, but that makes it very durable. I think that this will be around with the cockroaches when it's all said and done. And then we have a cute bag. That's pretty much it. I don't really need any other reveal, but I mean, they're stiff. Like, they'll stand up. So this is an easy way to make a trick-or-treat bag, or like I said, you could change this fabric out, or you don't even have to do fabric at the top. You could just add handles to the bag. But it makes a great beach bag because sand is just going to run right through that. Or, you know, playground bag, whatever. This is going to be, I think, well loved, and it will last a very long time being pet screening. If you're going to put your serger through it, though, make sure you check the blade, and you might have to replace it after a few of them. All right, everybody. I'll see you on the flip side of our next video.